This is on Imagination with the Healing Garden, and this is day 2 of week 2. This is covering cognitive core processing emotions when things go bad. On day 1 of week 2, we covered what happens when the processing goes the way it's supposed to go. So, what basically is the difference between your regular cognitive core and processing versus abuse is basically an override of the system. It is when you receive an unidentified foreign belief, basically an unidentified foreign belief that's being forced into your cognitive core without any kind of resource. A belief is made, it's formed out of your identity and your ethics. That's where beliefs emerge from. But an unidentified foreign belief, a UFB, is basically a belief that somebody is forcing into your system without it going through the process of identity, loving something, and then that leads into your ethics, and then it turns into a belief. So you're supposed to have your beliefs go this direction. What I love, what my ethical compass is, and then this is what I believe as a result of my identity loving it and my ethical compass. However, when we are abused, that is completely bypassed and someone crams their own concept into your system. Now, the first thing that happens is what I call red flag emotions, and these are part of your defense system. Red flag emotions are confusion. That is the very first, most effective way. You are not supposed to feel confused. Confusion is a red flag. This is cut and dry. When you are confused, there are only two places, two options going on. The first option is, are you in a math class? If you are in a math class, then, well, the teacher is incompetent and has failed to provide you with the appropriate steps in the knowledge for you to understand the actual math that you are now supposed to be doing. There is a gap in your ladder learning. So that's one scenario where you're going to feel confusion from incompetent math teachers. The second is the red flag emotion, which means someone is fucking with your system. They are basically gaslighting you. Most likely not on purpose. Most likely you have been exposed to a perspective that is not your own, and it's just not aligned with who you are. It's just not aligned with your own beliefs, with your own identity, ethics, beliefs. And that creates the emotion confusion. Now, if your defense system is up and running properly, and if your communication system is solid, fantastic. They will jump right in, go to work, and that's when we say things like, well, that's bullshit. But if you've been abused, suppressed, told that you are not supposed to speak, and you are struggling setting boundaries, you might stay silent. What happens then is when you hear that statement, that's bullshit, and you start to feel confusion, you might shrink, you might say nothing, you might get silenced. That is when the problem occurs. Because the emotion confusion is supposed to tip you off that you are supposed to defend your cognitive core processing by verbally saying, that's bullshit. Now, there are two situations where that will occur. The first one is basic everyday conversation, things you see on the internet. Again, we get like 70,000 to 140,000 pieces of input that come into your system every day. So this thing is going off left and right, and it's working full time. And you filter it. You scroll through the internet and you can assess, oh, that's bullshit. Oh, that's bullshit. Oh, that's bullshit. It's when we are in real life that we might be struggling with that. So it's unintentional in some cases. You might be talking to a friend, that friend might be extra assertive, and you might be abused. So that friend is just loud or assertive and opinionated. And because you don't have a proper defense system, you shrink. And that's going to cause abuse. Now, and what's happening in that case, by the way, is invalidation. They are invalidating your beliefs. You need to defend your beliefs, to assert your system, to validate your own system. But no one's validating your system if you say nothing. So part of the defense system's job is to step up and defend, validate your identity, ethics, and beliefs. And you are allowed, process this, you are allowed your own opinion. You are allowed your perspective. No one else has the right to take that away from you. That is one of the biggest lies we are told. You have a right to your perspective. So that all being said, the second type is the narcissist. This is when it is done deliberately, strategically, manipulatively, and on purpose. This is when the narcissist basically steps in and gaslights you. You don't remember it right. You're not remembering it right. That statement is huge, and that immediately puts an override into your system. Now, this is how it lays out. When they contradict you, you get confused. Your system immediately goes, what's going on? And there is a problem with the emotion confusion. It is the only time your cognitive core is frozen and incapable of working. It is a weak point in your system. Everyone has this. Confusion is the virus in our system that keeps us vulnerable. Confusion is the most dangerous emotion because it is the only time we can be contaminated. Any other emotion, and we're solid, we have a compartment. In fact, if anything, when we're experiencing toxic emotions already, we're closed off, so it's so hard to get them out of there. But confusion, we are open and available for infection 100% every time, because it's that brief millisecond where the entire cognitive core freezes up and doesn't know what to do. So it just sits there. What do I do with this information? Where do I go? And you just toggle. You've got your perspective. You've been given information and it's been forced into your system, and you're trying to figure out where this thing goes. And it doesn't have a place to go because it's a foreign belief. It's unidentified. It's the moment of unidentification that causes the confusion, where your whole system is going, what do we do with this? And that is when the narcissist says, you need to do this. The cognitive core, the subconscious mind, is so desperate for direction at that point that the subconscious mind clings to whatever it hears next. That is the problem. So it goes in. The narcissist gives you a statement that's bizarre, and they usually do this on purpose. They give you something that's so fucking stupid on purpose. So you go, what? And in that moment, they will say the words, you should. Boom, they're in. Your subconscious mind clings to that, holds it, keeps it. Got it. All right, I know where I am now, says the subconscious mind. And it immediately creates, boom, a split timeline, a split perspective. And now we got to follow this perspective. But there's a problem. Your entire system has to now shift to adjust to this alternative perspective that isn't yours. That is going to drastically throw off your alignment, because you've got your identity, you've got your ethics, you've got your belief system. And now you've got this foreign thing that's become a parasite to your perspective and your processing. And now it's got this growth to it. And now you have two different perspectives. This is where mood swings come from. When your subconscious mind can't figure out which one to follow, so it jumps between your perspective and the abuser's perspective. And it just jump. And it comes off as mood swings. This is why bipolar doesn't exist. Because bipolar is just you toggling between these two perspectives, jumping between the two of them. Your subconscious mind is trying to figure out which one to follow. A man cannot have two masters. The master in this case is always the perspective. So now they're competing with each other. Now, Depending upon how far the narcissist wants to take this, is going to now depend upon a lot of different factors. Some narcissists use this opportunity to sexually abuse. Some narcissists use this opportunity to physically abuse. Some narcissists use this ability and this opportunity to verbally abuse. Some narcissists use this opportunity to leash you and start grooming you for servitude. They start basically catering to, I need you to serve me. This is where codependency starts right here. And it all leaks from the emotion confusion, which is a red flag emotion. So when you feel the emotion confusion, you should be alert. You should be stopping. You should be going, I need to use the bathroom. Boom, go. Get used to that. You feel confusion and you should say, I need to go to the bathroom. That is going to give you time to A, isolate yourself. B, get away from the problem. C, you'll be able to think. Take your time. Know that you are now, why am I confused? What just happened? And now you got to figure out what just happened. Most likely without the required vocabulary to define what just happened. Look for the words should. Look for the gaslighting. Look for the contradiction. Now, I'm going to get real graphic with you. I was raped in May of 2023. And while I was being raped, this took place. I said, I think I've been roofied. And he said, he laughed at me. And then he said, you've just had too much marijuana. He gaslit me. Now, I felt all of this take place. All of it take place. I immediately felt the confusion. I've been on marijuana. No. Well, so he knew? Confusion. I knew it. Red flag emotion. I immediately felt my subconscious mind then grab onto his statement, you smoked too much marijuana. Immediately, the subconscious mind grabbed onto that and tried to plug it in. Immediately, the subconscious mind betrayed me and went right over to him. And I went, no, confusion. He gaslit me. He gaslit me. He gaslit me. Say those words. I repeated those words. Literally, he gaslit me. He gaslit me. He gaslit me. Why did he gaslight me? Because he was corrupting and overriding my perspective so he could do what he was doing, because he knew. That is what was going on. So these are all the cues. Because I was able to do this in 1 week, I was able to take my subconscious mind back and recover with no trauma. That is how effective this is. This is literally the core to keeping yourself healthy and sane, even though bad shit happens to you, and your mind being switched over to a trauma response. Prevent the rewiring of your brain to happen. To do that, you got to keep your subconscious mind on your side. To do that, you must use confusion as a red flag emotion. If you're not sitting in a classroom safe and sound, then why the fuck are you feeling confusion? Get the fuck out. And it might just be an accident. It might be just a loudmouth, over assertive friend, and that's okay too. But until you get skilled and equipped at recognizing this, you need to pause and get the fuck out. I need to go to the bathroom. Get to the bathroom, take a few deep breaths, calm yourself, and assess the conversation. Why am I confused? Look for the words should and shouldn't, and look for any contradiction. And then if they said something, there's a good chance your beliefs don't agree. The right course of action then is to assert. Go back and try. It's an experiment. Try to confront them later and say, I don't think I agreed with that. In my perspective, this is the case. And emphasize the words my perspective, because they can't argue with that. Your perspective is your perspective. And they'll probably shrug and be like, to each his own. And that's it. Okay. If it's a narcissist, whole different story. So confusion is the first thing that occurs. The other emotion that results from all of this is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is an emotion that is almost never talked about, and it is the core to all mental illness. Cognitive dissonance is the emotion of misalignment. It is simply your identity, your ethics, your beliefs, your perspective, your name, all right along here. And you have this alternative perspective in your system, and it's causing this massive alignment. Now, your identity, your beliefs, your ethics are your ethical perspective. That second box, identity, ethical beliefs, that ethical beliefs is your ethical perspective. That's what you value. Your actual perspective, whether it be down here, it's down here, it's down here. If you have an alternate, if you have a subconscious mind that's been altered, it's going to be down here. When you have that alternate, that subconscious mind perspective is the one that is competing with this one. So when I talk to you about finding your coordinates, this is what I'm referring to. Your ethical perspective is here. These are my ethics. And down here, you have your subconscious mind, what someone told you your ethics should be. Now, this is going to conflict with this, and that misalignment is called cognitive dissonance. It is painful. It causes significant pain. The longer it is the longer it goes unaddressed, the greater the pain. The greater the contradiction, the greater the pain. The greater the perspective gap. If you're a 6 and this is a 1 or a 2, you're going to be in a lot of pain. As a result, that's where you're going to feel the pain. So you want to make sure that you are aligned, that this line of processing is what is aligned, and that's what's going on. Cognitive dissonance is just discomfort and then pain. And if the pain is severe enough, it will switch over to rewiring your nervous system. And now you've got a behavioral defense. The behavioral defense is a complete reworking of a rewiring of your nervous system to alter your behavior so you will behave differently to accommodate this alternate perspective. To turn it back, you just need to locate and eliminate the toxic belief, which is true. Now, if you receive a limiting belief or that's a toxic belief. A limiting belief is when you observe horrific behavior and you develop a belief based off of observation and experience. For instance, if you are constantly subjected to relationship after relationship where they dump you and they dump you and they dump you, you might develop the limiting belief, no one ever loves me, or no one ever keeps me, or no one ever wants me. Now, that is actually a fear that your fear system has embedded into you to try and alter your behavior. So there's two people, two things who tamper and override your system: outside abusers and your fear system. If it's coming from your fear system, then it's actually a fear disguised as a belief. And it needs to be addressed as an actual fear, not as a belief. If it's coming from a third person point of view, then it needs to be addressed as that's not mine, that's theirs, and it needs to be removed. Those limiting beliefs from a third person is what creates shame. And the limiting beliefs that come from the fear system is what creates mental disorders, behavioral defenses. But people think that what we're dealing with right here is, oh, this is what somebody did to me. No, that is not how this works. You're talking about the fear system. You need to address the fear and address what the fear is doing. You need to talk to your fear system and locate the core fear. Talking about the abuse that happened to you as a result, that resulted in the fear, is a distraction. And it's going to keep you talking and talking and talking and just reliving the trauma. This is where people really fuck up shadow work. This is why venting and talking is not helpful if you don't understand this. You need to address the fear system, which is the limiting belief, which is, okay, your real fear. This is one of my favorites. We're going to talk about fear of communication because this one is, everyone's got this one. Fear of communication, fear of talking. So we're children and we might be laughing, screaming, having a good time. Tired parents scream at us. Children should be seen and not heard. We get the fear, oh, I'm not going to be loved if I speak. If I speak, I won't be accepted. I will lose my belonging if I speak. So that's the belief that goes inside by your fear system. Now, when we go to therapy, we might be talking, oh, my parents were horrible. They were always screaming at us. They wouldn't let us speak. That's a distraction. That's not the point. The result of that was the fear system. How did that make you feel? This is why therapist asks, how did that make you feel? They want you to focus on the feeling because that's the problem, not your parents. How did it make you feel? Well, it made me feel afraid to talk. Now, we're getting somewhere. That's not a belief then. What it is a fear. A fear that is so great that your fear system said, oh, no, we got to cram that down and override the system with that fear. There's two things that the fear system is going to do. It's going to override your system. But in most cases, it's just going to avoid it and hide it from you and just keep the fear over there so you can't look at it. It's going to hide it from you. So it's either going to hide it from you or it's going to disguise it and put it right in the fear system to make it look like a belief. Because when you go digging over there and you start looking for fears to confront, you won't even think to look for the ones in your belief system because it's disguised as a belief. Now that you know this, you can take that, remove it, put it back where it belongs, and then sit down with your fear system and say, let's talk about my fear. Let's talk about it. Soothe, validate, empathize, reassure. That is how you handle fear, including the limiting beliefs. It's the same thing, but you need to actually know what to address. So that is the override system. That is pretty much it. That is really it. What ends up happening then is basically your fear system takes over. And instead of feeling shock, surprise, awe, disbelief, negotiation, you're still going to feel all of those emotions. You're still going to go acceptance, resistance. You're still going to go through the evaluation and assessment. You're still going to go through abundance and scarcity. The thing is, optimism and pessimism is where things start to change. Pessimism is actually a defense. It is fear of disappointment. So people who are pessimistic are actually afraid of disappointment. So if you have a tendency to be pessimistic, you need to look at your fear of disappointment. And you need to address that. Like I said, the fear system is going to embed a whole lot of shit all over in the cognitive core, and it fucks around with it. The fear system tampers with the cognitive core a lot. Once you understand how and where the fear system tampers, you'll be able to recognize when fear is involved. So if you're pessimistic, that's actually fear of disappointment. Your fear system has played along. And we're back to your fear system needs to be validated, empathized, soothed, and reassured. And then the fear system will shrink. Now, the fear system will grow and shrink, but you got to nurture that defense system. And that's where communication comes in. You've got to defend that. You've got to use your communication system, or that fear system will never stay down. You might get it down with soothing, but it will pop right back up. To keep it down and keep it off, you have to have your defense system. And that defense system is key. You got to talk. So we're back to it is safe to talk now. It is safe to discuss this. And then the defense system will come up and then you practice talking. So you're going to practice talking. You're going to practice in front of the mirror. You're going to open your voice and you're going to practice. And I mean practice singing, practice talking, practice speaking. You're going to answer your phone. Yeah, you're going to answer your phone and not text people. You're going to leave voice messages. Practice talking. The more you practice talking, the more articulate you will become. The more strong you will become. You will be amazed at how much your communication is hardwired to your entire system. It is your identity. Your voice is a pillar of your identity. Your name is a pillar of your identity. Name calling and labels. When people are name calling you or labeling you, they are tampering as an outside source into the fourth box of the cognitive core processing. So it's identity, and then it's ethics, your beliefs, and then your name, and then your perspective. The name is how you are defined, who you are. When you are name called, the attack is going on this. So you can have your name attacked. You can have your perspective attacked. That's not what happened. This is what happened. That's under attack. You know what you should do? That's attacking your belief system. No, the ethics, your ethics are all wrong. That's fucked up, man. Now we're attacking that. And you don't know what love is. You have no clue what love is. That is going over here and attacking your love. So every part of your cognitive core can be attacked. And there are some narcissists who love hitting all 5 of those. And then you've got your fear system who's like scrambling, literally plugging in all over the place. Oh, I got to put some limiting beliefs here. I need to change the name over here. That way I'll stay safe over here. I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. So you've got this massive fear system. The fear system literally works with the narcissist to conform your entire perspective, to shape what it is the narcissist is doing to you, to keep you safe, to alter your behavior with behavioral defense, to keep you safe. Now, as far as the spectrum goes, how much of this? It could be a little. It could be a little over time, and it could chronically grow. It could be just a parent chipping away at a single name that they call you over and over again. It could just be a little bit of criticism that they just keep giving you over and over again, and it grows. It could be downright physical, sexual, or violent abuse. It could be so severe that your identity gets under attack by your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind will literally go in and rip apart bits and pieces and completely destroy your identity and then cram you into the fourth, basically cause you to forget and eliminate your own identity to get you to adjust. The subconscious mind will go to no end to make sure that you conform. And worst case scenario, if the whole thing is going down and there is nothing that the subconscious mind can do to save you, the subconscious mind will say, mission abort, and have you kill yourself. That is why people commit suicide, because the subconscious mind simply says, I can't keep her safe. It will rather you die than it fail to keep you safe. Do not trust the subconscious mind. Now, that's the thing that's running your life. This is why it is imperative that you get you in charge of this thing and discipline the fuck out of this subconscious mind. Because the subconscious mind is a rogue, stupid machine from the Ice Age, and it's just a machine. It doesn't know. It has no consciousness. It lacks awareness. It's just a stupid defaulted program with an AI that doesn't know better. That pretty much covers everything as far as what happens when it's being overridden. That's really the core of it. So, and that core, again, it's the confusion. That's the core one. And anything cognitive dissonance. Anytime you feel pain, that's cognitive dissonance. If someone calls you a name and it hurts your feelings is fourth perspective talk for you have cognitive dissonance. You have a misalignment. The name they gave you, that they called you, contradicts your actual identity, and it hurts. So when we say, you hurt my feelings, you're saying, okay, that misaligns with me and it hurts. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. And then we are going to go ahead and cover basically the identity in the next video. And then we are going to go over the others. We have days 3, 4, and 5 left for Emotion Week. So thank you so much. And may the kindest of words. Oh, one more thing. Cognitive dissonance. If you have emotional pain, the cure to that is your defense system defending it, saying no, validate it, prevent the contradiction from occurring. Literally, when you get pain, you need to invalidate what they are saying. By invalidating what they are saying about you, you defend yourself. It's assertiveness. It is taking the naming back. It is accountability. When you say what you need to say in your boundaries, you're actually holding yourself accountable for your own system. And that is the cure to cognitive dissonance, which is why the naming is so important. Okay, thank you so much, and I will see you soon. May the kindest of words always find you.